on the banks of the River Thames, stands one of the most iconic and sinister buildings in the world. This is the Tower of London, where the dead still scream, built nearly 1,000 years ago by William the Conqueror. The tower has stood as a palace, a prison, an armory, and a place of execution. But what lingers within these stone walls isn't just history. It's something darker, echoes of pain, cries of betrayal, and the restless spirits of those who met their tragic ends behind these ancient gates. Tonight, we walk through blood-stained corridors. We listen to the whispers of the condemned. Part 1, A Fortress of Shadows. The tower was originally meant to instill fear, a symbol of domination over a conquered people. But over the centuries, it became a prison for traitors, royals, nobles, and commoners alike. Torture chambers beneath the tower held secrets that were never supposed to escape, but they did. Visitors today report feeling watched, cold spots in empty rooms, disembodied voices crying in languages no longer spoken. And then there's the Bloody Tower. Part 2, The Princes in the Tower. In 1483, two young princes, Edward V and his brother Richard, were locked in the tower by their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. The boys were never seen again. Rumors spread that Richard had them murdered to claim the throne. Centuries later, their skeletal remains were found beneath the staircase. But it's not just bones they left behind. Guards have reported seeing two pale boys holding hands, wandering silently in the night. Sometimes they vanish into the stones. Their laughter echoes faintly before turning into screams. Part 3, Anne Boleyn, the Queen Without a Head. Perhaps the tower's most famous ghost is Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VII. Accused of adultery and treason, she was imprisoned in the tower and beheaded in 1536. Witnesses over the centuries describe a woman in a green Tudor dress walking the corridors, holding her severed head. Sometimes she stands at the exact spot where she died, the site of her execution, eyes staring out over the crowd that isn't there. Others see her in the chapel, kneeling in silent prayer until she vanishes into thin air. Some say she never left because she died innocent. Part 4, The White Lady and the Phantom Smell of Roses. A figure in white has been seen waving from the windows of the White Tower. Guards who approach often find no one inside. Those who get too close speak of a suffocating floral scent. Roses, sweet at first, then so strong it makes them gag. Some fall ill. One even claimed he felt hands tighten around his throat. Legend says it's the White Lady, a noblewoman imprisoned for defying a king. Her identity lost to time, but her anguish unforgettable. Part 5, Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen. Lady Jane Grey was just 17 years old when she was executed at the Tower. Used as a pawn in a political game, she ruled England for only 9 days before being overthrown and condemned. On foggy mornings, people have seen a girl in gray standing near the Tower Green, her face pale, her hands shaking. They hear her final words, whispered into the wind. Lord, into thy hands I commend my spirit. The axe fell, but her soul did not rest. Part 6, Torture and the Screams Beneath. Beneath the tower lie dungeons, where prisoners were stretched on the rack, burned or crushed. Yeoman warders, the guards of the tower, have reported screams coming from empty rooms, chains dragging across floors, and shadows that shouldn't move. One man, a former soldier, said he saw a figure crawling with no legs through a dungeon corridor. He resigned that very night. Part 7. Ghost of Margaret Pole. Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury, was 67 years old when she was executed. She ran from the executioner, who chased her around the scaffold, hacking at her until she died. People claim to hear her terrified screams echoing across the Tower Green. Others have seen her ghost running again and again, reliving her brutal final moments in a never-ending loop. Part 8. The Beefeater Encounters. Even the Tower's modern guardians, the Beefeaters, report strange events. Doors slam on their own. Armor clatters with no wind. Ravens stare at nothing, frozen, as if watching something that humans can't see. One Beefeater quit after a spirit screamed in his ear during a late-night patrol. Part 9. The Tower never sleeps. The Tower of London stands proud, a monument to centuries of power, betrayal, and blood. But once the tourists leave, the ghosts take over. If you ever visit and you feel someone watching you from the shadows, don't turn around. It might be Anne, or the boys, or something older, darker, bound to these stones forever. The Tower never forgets, and it never sleeps.